What's good, people? Thanks as always for passing by the channel. Joyce has just been made mandatory for the European heavyweight title, a title that's currently held by Agit Kabayel. And I think this is a fight that makes sense, makes a lot of sense for both. Like, I think it's a fantastic matchup, if I'm honest with you. I did a video about Joyce after the Bermain-Stavern win, and it was a win. I realized I did criticize him a lot, but it was a win. And I said that we should pump the brakes on Joyce, right? He wants, and he's mentioned some of the names within the top 10 now, like, easy a bit, easy Tiger. Let's pump the brakes. But this, I think, is a perfect matchup to where I think he is, right? So I think those guys in the top 3, 4, 5 maybe that I think are way in front of him. Then there's a bunch of other guys, maybe, I don't know, from 6 to 10 that I think can beat him, the likes of Povetkin and Pulev. And then there's, I think, a bunch of like 10 guys that can all match up with each other. And I have to put in that 10 Joyce and Kabayel. I think Kabayel is in that as well. It's strange because when Chisora lost to Kabayel, and I'm guilty of this, so hands up, I'm guilty. I was like, oh, Chisora had an off day. Kabayel beat Chisora. It wasn't necessarily because Chisora had an off day. I'm saying that as a fan of Chisora, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But Kabayel beat him. I think it was a split decision, but Kabayel beat him convincingly. There was no split decision there. It should have been a unanimous decision. So Kabayel is very, very good based on that. He's 19 fights in. He's unbeaten in 19. I don't know how many knockouts. That could be he's down for. I think it is. I could be wrong, but I think it's something like 12 knockouts, which might not help him when it comes to the heavyweight division. But again, there are elite heavyweights that don't have superpower. Obviously Tyson Fury being the main one, but even lower level ones like Nathan Gorman, who is not elite, but he's good, don't have elite power. So if you can box, that should be enough to get you a victory. But I think it's a great matchup. I don't know if it's going to happen. I follow Joyce's manager. I think it's his manager, Sam Jones, on Twitter, and he hasn't mentioned anything. I think the names they are looking at, and there's a couple of names, are Manuel Char. Remember, Joyce has this WBA gold belt, which means absolutely nothing for me. The guy just above him, in terms of the guy that has the regular belt, is Manuel Char. I don't know how Manuel Char still has this belt. I don't really care too much about this belt, but he, I think, beat Ustinov for this belt. Could be wrong. But he beat Ustinov for this belt in November 2017. He hasn't fought since. How's he not been stripped? How's he not been stripped? So that could be a route they're going. So they've got Kabayel, they've got Manuel Char as good options. And the other option they're looking at is Adam Karnacki from Poland, obviously now based in the US, good friends with Jarrell Miller. Coming off 2 good wins, one against Charles Martin, the other one was a very good performance against Gerald Washington. So those are the 3 options for him. And all 3 of those guys come within that top 10 that I was talking about, in terms of you have the top 10 and then you've got the guys that I think are just below that. I'd put all 3 within there, and that's the mix that Joyce should be fighting. It's funny though, because recently Deontay Wilder has been linked with Karnacki. The WBC heavyweight champion of the world has been linked with him, and here we are linking Joyce with him. So Deontay Wilder should stay clear and let these guys mix it with each other. So Joyce has 3 options going forward. He's mandated for the European title, Agit Kabayel, fantastic fight, 2 unbeaten guys. I think around the same level. If I had to put my money on who wins that fight, I think I might favour Kabayel, by the way. I think I might favour Kabayel. I thought Joyce looked awful against Stavern. I have to admit, I think he looked slow, stiff. And if I was him, I would run a million miles away from Abel Sanchez, because I think Abel Sanchez seems to turn fighters into slow and stiff fighters. Gassiev and GGG are great examples of that. And then he's got Manuel Char, which is probably going to be made mandated for that title as well, if Manuel Char is not stripped. Again, another good fight. Manuel Char, very experienced, has been in there with some good fighters, lost to those good fighters. So I would favour Joyce in that one, because Joyce is fresher. Karnacki, hopefully I'm saying his name correct. That's a tough fight for Joyce. That's a tough fight for Karnacki as well. So look, great options for him. Which one do you think is the best? For me, I'd like to see him go the Kabayel route, because I think there is something about British fighters sticking to this traditional route. And I'm going to do a video about this, where you go area title, English, British, European, Commonwealth on the same kind of level, then you go to the world. So I'd like to see him do the Europeans win that, defend that, and then go on to where he thinks he should be, which is fighting guys within the top sort of 7 or 8. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Peace.